Your host on I Believe radio show and affectionately known as the Money Lady for the last 30 years. If you are on Social Security disability for the last 2 years or turning 65 or new to Medicare, I have great news for you. You may qualify for the Medicare Advantage plan. Under the Medicare Advantage plan, you have additional options, which include dental, hearing aids, transportation, utility assistance, and food assistance. These are additional benefits that are extended to you if you are on Social Security disability for 2 years, if you are turning 65, or you're new to Medicare. The Medicare Advantage Plan. Remember that name. Give me a call, 800-734-3915. 800-734-3915. And thank you for listening.
Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. This is I Believe with Dr. Michelle Graves, the Money Lady, on Cincinnati's 24-hour urban gospel connection, Inspiration 1050 AM and 103.1 FM WGRI.
My. God bless all of you all today. I'm your host for the next hour, Michelle Graves. And in the background, we're leading off today with Heal the Land. It's by Praise 2 Choir. This song is over 20 years old. But is it relevant? Yes, it is. So just sit back, listen to the words, because today we have a phenomenal show, and I am here to tell you that it's real what's out here today. It is so real. I'm Michelle Graves again. God bless you.
There is hatred in the land. There is crime in the land. No love in the land. My prayer is heal the land, heal the land, heal the land.
Heal the land, Father God.
My prayer is
We humble ourselves before you
heal
today.
the land,
We repent of our self-centeredness and self-serving philosophies that are pandemic in this country.
my prayer is
We know according to your word that if we your people, will humble ourselves. And we will pray and we will seek your face. And we will turn from our wicked ways. You didn't say evil, you said wicked, twisted. Are we going to be with you or are we not? Are we going to do right or are we not? And you said that if we do these things, that you would hear. We need you to hear, Lord, today. We need you to hear, Lord, today. So much. So much. So much. We are of a weak frame. We can't take it much more. Isolation, separation, chaos, confusion, everything. Yes.
So many crises.
So many crises
in the land.
In our land.
There's no peace in the land. There is no love, no love, no love in the land, yeah. My prayer is
heal the land.
That you heal the land.
Woo, Jesus.
Heal the land.
My prayer
that you heal the land.
is for you to heal the land. Heal our land. We are of weak frame. Dust. Dust.
That you heal the land.
repent.
So many crises in the land.
Because we haven't been right.
Heal the land. My prayer
We
is
haven't been right. Game over.
the land.
You're looking at this.
The world today.
Yes, Jesus.
Heal the land. My prayer is
Oh, my God.
that you heal the land.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Heal the land. For those of you who are just joining me in the background, heal the land. I opened with this song. I had another song, but this resonated in my spirit, so real. Again, I've been on this page for a long time, so let us begin today's show, which is phenomenal. 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 I'm going to be interviewing for the next 40 minutes shortly Don Graves, who is a national expert on reverse mortgages. He is the president and founder of the Housing Wealth Institute and adjunct professor of retirement income at the American College of Financial Services. A black man. He's considered one of the nation's leading educators on incorporating housing wealth into retirement income planning. He's been quoted in Forbes magazine, featured on PBS-sponsored shows, and recognized as one of the American College's 11 retirement income alumni. You need to read about this man. He's sought after as a professional speaker, and his workshops are helping advisors across the country to grow their practices. This is his first book, An Advisor's Guide on Housing Wealth. If your advisor has not talked to you about this, fire him or her. He wrote another book behind this that's strictly for the consumer, to help you. Yes, he's into helping too. And he will be giving away the second book for consumers for the entirety of this interview, 579-1050. If you want a copy of this book, he'll be sending it out to everyone that calls in at that number, 579-1050, area code 513. The lines will be open for the entirety of the show to make sure that you get this phenomenal information. Believe me when I tell you, you are going to be in for a treat today. Now, for those of you that are interested in Michelle Graves, you can always reach me, care of my website, michellegravesonline.com. You can click at the top under Financial Consultant. You'll see the products I represent. You can also call the 800 number, 800-734-3915. Now, before getting started, let me be totally clear. We gave away a lot last week with Randy Gallus here. But I need you to help me to help you. When you call into this station, you speak clearly. You leave your name. You need first and last name clearly. You leave your address clearly. Your apartment clearly. Your city, state, zip code. If you do not leave the information, I cannot help you. I will not go through trying to translate what people are saying. This has happened to me last week. I spent several hours trying to translate what you had left with our producer. That's not right. So I'm asking you again to call that number 579-1050 and let's get that going. I'm going to text Donald now the number. I thought I gave him the right number. Let me try this again. 513-579-1050. 579. I'm going to send it to him now. Let's see if he can't get it by text. I love technology today.
Give me 1 second. Hold on 1 second.
579 1050. Don, if you hear me, that's the number. I don't know what this other number is, but I've had so much going on my plate. Who knows? But I'm looking forward to having you for a dynamic and exciting informational interview on housing wealth. And again, I'm honored to know you and to talk about something that is so critical to the well-being of our community. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce to some and share with others this remarkable man, Don Graves, who is an RICP, CLTC, and CSA, and the author of The Retiree's Guide to Housing, and endorsed by every who's who in the world of finance in this industry. Because if you don't know about this, like I said, if you're paying a planner or an advisor and they haven't shared this information with you, you need to tell them to take a hike because they're not doing what they need to do. We are living in a time where information is powerful and it can make or break you. So let's have it make you today. And Don, are you on the line?
I'm here, Michelle.
How are you today?
Well blessed. Thank you.
I am so glad that you were willing to open up your very, very busy schedule and talk to my listeners, Facebook, Periscope, as well as my listeners on the station and internet.
Awesome.
Isn't that awesome?
Yep.
I'm grateful to have you on. So where do we want to begin this conversation? And it is a conversation.
Let's talk about retirement.
Okay, let's talk about
Let's
retirement.
start there.
Okay.
And for your listeners, before we jump into reverse mortgages, what they are and what they're not, how they've changed, because they've been around for 59 years.
Isn't that incredible?
59 years.
59 years. You're telling my age.
And so when people think about that, they say, well, I've just heard about them 5 years or 10 years ago. And I said, no, they've been around 59 years in America, but more than 100 years in Europe. They're in China, they're in Japan, they're in Canada, they're in New Zealand, they're in Scotland. They're all over the world. And so the American version of the equity release tool, which is, it really has to do with retirement. So here's the genesis to your listeners. When Social Security was formed in 1935, the life expectancy was really right around the age 65. So you would get your Social Security and you would die. So the original age was 65.
Okay.
Before they lowered to 62. And so, but now people are living longer. People are living longer. Our mother, for you don't know, that Michelle Graves and I are brother and sister. She's significantly older than me. 14
Thank you.
years. I mean, my God. I mean,
But I is fine.
yeah, this is true. And so we're living longer. So my sister could live to age 100. I could live to age 110. We have not saved enough to sustain that longer lifestyle, and we're coming into retirement in debt. So when you think, one of my favorite questions is to ask an 85-year-old, what's different about 85 than what you thought would be at 55? Inevitably, I hear it's more expensive. It's more expensive. And so when your listeners, when we're thinking about retirement, or as we talk about reverse mortgages, don't think of a product. I want you to think of retirement. I want you to think, how am I going to live the type of life I want to live for as long as I want to live it with the resources that I currently have? And if there was another resource that could be added to my income, whatever investments I may have, and maybe some insurance and annuities, would I use that to help sustain or build a retirement plan? So that's really where the conversation is. Reverse mortgages are not about a product. They're about a paradigm, how we see retirement. So to your listeners, I want you to think about this. Am I age 62 or older, or who do I know who's age 62 or older? My grandma, big mama, nana, whomever that's 62 or older, and how long could they possibly live? Do they have enough money to live that long? And do they have enough money to live the current lifestyle they're living? And if there was another asset that they could use that could make retirement a little better, would they want to know about it?
think they would, and I think they should. That is the big question. How are they going to live out their older years with dignity and with money?
Sure.
Period. That's major.
So what is a reverse mortgage? A reverse mortgage, listen folks, it's just a mortgage. 4 words will help you. It's just a mortgage. Now why I say it will help you? You ever mention reverse mortgage at a barbecue? I mean, someone will try to shank you. Someone will make a shiv out of a plastic knife and fork and come after you if you're not careful. And then you could just hold your hands up and say, wait a minute, it's just a mortgage. Well, Don, why do you say that? Well, a reverse mortgage is just a mortgage with an optional payment structure. Most people know how a mortgage works. You go to the bank, you couldn't buy the house on your own, you borrowed money, you pay them back over 30 years. Or somewhere you got a home equity loan. You wanted to send the kids to college, you wanted to build an addition, you wanted to do something, you borrowed money, you paid them back over time and it was over. Well, those are both equity release strategies. But a reverse mortgage is what I consider the retiree's line of credit. It's an age-appropriate equity release strategy that allows you, age 62 or better, to borrow money from the value of your home. And once you borrow money, you've got 3 options. Number 1, you can make a payment, principal and interest. And in that way, it functions like a forward mortgage. A lot of people didn't know that. Number 2, you can pay interest only. And in that regard, it functions like a neutral mortgage. Or number 3, you can make no payment at all and let the home pay it back when you move or decease. And that's what people think of as the traditional mortgage. But the truth is, you can treat it like a regular mortgage, optional, interest only, or no payments. And if you're in retirement, listen, how many folks who are retired right now, think about the last event you were at. How many people, age 55 to 70, had a mortgage, second mortgage, home equity loan, or home equity line of credit? What percentage of people?
Oh, I've got to say about 90%.
Yeah, it's a huge number.
Yes, huge.
It's a huge number. And so when we say we're living longer, we haven't saved enough, and we're coming into retirement.
Yeah.
Think about your listener, the ones who's listening. Say, I've got a mortgage, second mortgage, home equity loan, or home equity line of credit. Here's the question: if there was a way, if you could use your home to eliminate that monthly mortgage payment, so you didn't have to pay that anymore, would you want to see how that works? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Don, I would.
Yes, I
What would you do with the extra $500, $800, $2,000 a month? How would that make retirement different? Well, you don't know because you've never thought about it. But is there a way for you to eliminate your monthly mortgage payment that you can have a different retirement experience? Number 2, now let's say to your listeners, it may not be you. Now remember, some information comes to you, but some information comes through you, which means it may not be for you. It may be to pass through to somebody else. That's what we used to say in the civil rights days. Remember that
Yes.
song, If I Can Help Somebody,
If I could help somebody
along this way, then
way.
my living will not be in vain.
Yes.
So you're listening to this and you say, well, I don't have a need for a reverse mortgage, but Big Mama may, but your aunt may, but someone may not know. So you've only seen the commercials, but you may not know how it works. So back to the person with the mortgage. So a fellow said to me, Michelle, well, Don, I don't mind making a monthly mortgage payment. This was before COVID-19.
Right. Right.
Because in March, 5 million people applied for mortgage forbearance. 5 million. 5 million.
Jeez.
In March. When June came around, at 1st of July, they reapplied for mortgage forbearance.
So they still couldn't come out of the dump. Yeah.
See, so how many of those people were retirement age or approaching retirement age? Enough.
Yes.
So someone says, I can afford to make a monthly mortgage payment. And I say to that person, okay, let me ask you a question. Since you're already making a payment in retirement, you're already making payment, if you had a choice, would you rather that payment be mandatory or voluntary? What do you think people would say?
I hope voluntary.
Voluntary. Or why wouldn't
Yes.
you?
Right.
And then I say to them, great. Would you want to see how that works? See, all of these are ways the newly restructured reverse mortgage is designed to help today's retiree. People are thinking of, I mean, how many times, Michelle, have you heard, oh, that reverse mortgage, that's
Oh, my
scary.
God.
That's
Don.
scary. I knew a guy, I went over to my cousin Tracy's house for 4th of July, and there Uncle Junebug was right there at the picnic table. And I said, Uncle Junebug, he had moved into Tracy's spare bedroom. And Now, listen, folks, have you heard this? And you said, Uncle Junebug, why'd you move? You had a house. He said, oh, I got that reverse mortgage, and I lost my house. And everyone at the picnic turns and says, and then they go off to the beauty salon and barbershop and grocery store, and they say, Uncle Junebug got that, and he lost his house. That reverse mortgage is terrible. And they say to me, Don, this is horrible. And I said, well, you know what? What Uncle Junebug said was true. He did get a reverse mortgage, and he did lose his house. But he forgot to say something. What Uncle Junebug forgot to tell you is that he hadn't paid his property taxes in 3 years.
Yeah.
So I don't know about Hamilton County. I'm up here in Philadelphia County, Montgomery County. But in most of the world, if you don't pay your property taxes, what happens next has nothing to do with the loan you have on your house.
Absolutely
the
not.
municipality takes action.
Right.
But that's not a good story to tell at the barbecue or the family reunion. But I can promise you, most of the articles you've ever seen in the newspaper somewhere who said reverse mortgages was frightening or scary, they didn't tell the whole story.
Right.
So he did get it. He did lose his house, but he hadn't paid his taxes.
And for the record, if I might be so bold, if you don't pay your taxes with any major mortgage lender, Fifth Third, U.S. Bank, honey, it doesn't matter. Same outcome. Same
Absolutely.
outcome.
Absolutely. And so for your listeners, I don't want to keep yakking away. You got to stop me. But here's what I thought about just about 6 months ago. And for your listeners, I want you to think about this. 87% of retirees own a home.
Yes.
So that's a big asset.
It is.
As a matter of fact, it's their biggest single concentration of wealth is in their home. So I want you to think about this. Let's say a banker, you knew the president or the manager of the local bank, and they visited your house, and they said to you, Mrs. Jones, someone has died, and in their will they left you the contents of their safe deposit box. Here's the key. The question is, if you knew the banker, you knew the bank, and it was legitimate, and there's the paperwork, and the banker gave you the key and said someone left you the contents of safe deposit box, would you go and see what's inside of it?
One would think so.
Absolutely. You wouldn't say, oh, I'm not going to see what... Absolutely. I left the job a few years ago, and I forgot. The company went out of business. And you know what happened, Michelle?
What?
A man from Principal Financial called me, and he said, Don, you were at such company. And I said, yeah. He said, you still have money from your 401k that got rolled over to us. And I thought they cashed that out and gave it to me. He said, no, you've got money, and it was legitimate. What do you think my next question was to that man?
How can I get it?
Yeah, how much is it?
How much is
How
it?
much is it? See, that's a natural question. Now, I want you to think about this, listener. We said reverse mortgages have to do not with a product, but with a paradigm, how we see retirement. And that if you're sitting on your biggest asset, and I have to watch how I say that.
That's right, because we over here. Oh, yeah.
It's a Christian show. And I said to a lady one time, that's a big asset you got, Miss Jones. And the deacons almost put me out, so I got to be careful. So I said, now, some of you are sitting on your big asset right there. And it's like the safe deposit box over at the bank. And the manager said, hey, someone left you the contents. Do you want to know how much you have? Or it's like the person calling me and said, hey, you got a 401k that got rolled over. Would you want to know what you have? Absolutely. Why? Because if it can change your retirement, if you can dispel notions and change your situation, wouldn't you at a minimum at least want to know how it worked?
One would think so.
Absolutely.
It's
The
just
Book of Life
prudence.
says,
Yes.
The Book of Life says, my people are destroyed because of lack of knowledge.
Right.
The Apostle Paul said, I would not have you to be ignorant, brethren.
Right.
That's the largest denomination in the world, the Church of Ignorant Brethren.
Yes. Are you funny?
So to your listeners,
Yes.
as you're thinking about your mother, your grandmother, your aunts, someone who's age 62, you're listening yourself, and you're saying, I didn't know this. This is not what I've seen on the television commercials. Well, it's not, because the reverse mortgage has been restructured. It's different, because it's 59 years old, right? You would expect something to evolve and change
Yes, I would think
over
so.
59 years of age.
Right.
So let me pause right there. I've got a few questions I want to ask your listeners, but let me take a breath and step back here.
Okay.
That's your turn to say something profound.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't
That's
have anything profound to say because I totally and completely love this product and have loved this product for 25 years, despite what everyone has said. And my predictive capacity is pretty on target. It's a home. You're either going to pay your bank, and they're not giving you any money, or you're going to pay yourself. And so logic says you should do it. But again, because the program has changed, you need to be clear and you need to help clarify those changes, Don, because they are, in my estimation, significant.
Sure. So let's circle back into this. And some of the changes are, it used to be anybody could get a reverse mortgage. I'm saying Uncle Junebug. I'm just using that name.
Mm-hmm.
And some people shouldn't have got a reverse mortgage.
I totally agree.
They were not able to pay their taxes.
Right.
Now it's harder to get a reverse mortgage. See, right now you've got to qualify, and they're going to say, have you paid your property taxes on time the last 24 months? If you haven't, there's going to be a subsequent conversation. And so there's some protections to make sure the right people get in to the program. There's some spousal protections. Used to be that both spouses had to be age 62. And one spouse could come off, but that caused some problems. And then there's a period of time that says, well, if you're married and your spouse is younger than you, under age 62, you can't do a reverse mortgage at all. And then finally HUD says you can do a reverse mortgage as long as one spouse is over the age of 62. The other only has to be age 18. That's good news for some of you listening. 14 in Alabama, but
Oh,
they
jeez.
struck that down.
They struck it.
So that's a protective feature.
Uh-huh.
Another protective feature is you can't take out all the equity in the first year because some people can't handle that money. And so they built in some things to kind of throttle down what you get, cause it to grow, protect your equity for your heirs in your state, protect your spouse if someone's under the age of 62, and protect you from getting into something you shouldn't be into. And so it's a much safer program, but it's not as easy to get into. So the profile of the borrower is changing.
What about the income?
Well, the income, you've got to have enough income left at the end of the month to meet your basic needs. So let's say a couple, I think in Ohio, maybe $920.
Okay.
Which means if we take your property taxes, your insurance, and divide that number by 12, and then we take your size of your home and multiply that square footage by 14 cents, that's going to give us a monthly number. Let's call it $500.
Okay.
And let's say you get $1,500 a month in Social Security, both of you, and we subtract those two numbers, or we subtract $500, then you have $1,000. You meet the residual requirement. And
That's
so
important.
Again,
that's important, Don.
Sure, because we don't want people in that cannot pay the taxes.
That's very, very important, and you do not, because when I was a strong proponent, my concern was the number of women that were widows that had these homes. They could not make repairs. They didn't have enough money to live on, and they were stuck with making a monthly mortgage to the bank. And that just seems so egregious and so unreasonable.
Sure.
It really did.
I wrote a book. I've written 2 books, but I wrote a consumer guide, the Retiree's Guide to Housing.
Right, I got that right in front of my camera right now.
And to your listeners, I want to make sure that if you're listening, I want to make this available to you, the listener.
Okay.
And you're saying, well, and what's the number? They're going to have to call before this goes off the air.
Yes, they are.
What number do you want them to call?
I want them to call. And, Don, I've got to take a quick station ID break.
Okay.
And we'll be right back and give them that information. Just stay put. I'm going to do this real quick, and we're going on. You're at the top of the hour, and you're listening to WGRI, Covington, Cincinnati. Thank you for being a part of the I Believe radio broadcast audience, and thank you for listening in. Okay, we're back. They need to call if they want this book, 513-579-1050. And Don, it's not going to be available after I go off air. That's it. They have to, I've given them instructions. You got to say your name clearly, your address, your city zip, so that you don't mail to the wrong address. And I have the actual book itself on the Facebook so that they can see it face to face for themselves. If you are approaching retirement, and if you're 62 or soon to be and over, this is certainly a product that makes good sense for you. Retirement is not the way it used to be. Things have changed, like things haven't not, but things have, and tapping your house's wealth in this federally backed product is to me awesome. So it's again 579-1050, area code 513. Lines are open until I'm off air with Don Graves. He's going to send you this book, The Retiree's Guide to Housing Wealth. So continue on, Don.
I'm going to send that book to those who call. Now, here's who I want to call. There's some folk who, when you say free, they run. I remember I was doing a trade show one time about 15 years ago, and I put out some candy in a bowl, and the people in the booth next to me looked at me and said, "You going to put that candy out?" I said, "Yeah." They said, "All of it?" They said, "You haven't done these trade shows before, have you?" I said, "Oh, no." And they said, "Okay, go ahead." And there was a rattle at the door, and it was just shaking. I said, "What's that sound?" And they said, "That's the people waiting to get in." And so here they came. Oh my Lord, walkers and scooters and hurricanes. And they go by the booth, and the people who knew I'd made a grave mistake. But the first lady came by. She saw a big old bowl of butterscotch. Did she not open up a shopping bag?
Oh no!
Dumped the whole bowl in there and left. And they just fell out laughing. Now, sometimes when you all call 513-579-1050, some people just want the free stuff. Here's who I'm really looking to call today. I'll send you a free book. But if you know someone who's age 62 or older, your mother, your cousin, big mama, nana, whoever, pop, and I want you to call for them because I want you to get it. Because in this book, I recorded a course at the American College for consumers. You're going to be able to see that. And I'm going to send it to you. If you yourself are age 62 years older, I want you to step at the front of the line and call 513-579-1050. I need your name, address, telephone number, everything that Michelle said. Let me send that to you. Because you're sitting on something.
Yes.
And I'm looking for homeowners. All right? Now, what I want to do now, I want you to think about some things. I do this thing called 20 questions that I ask financial advisors or I ask people, and it's going to be real fast. But to your listener, Michelle, I want you to think about this. Here's 7 magic words. If your home could be used to. Are you listening? Did you write that down? If your home could be used to. Those 7 words. Now imagine, Michelle, a group of folk. A fella said, "Don, I've got 300 clients in my property and casualty business. They're homeowners. They're all over the age of 62. How would a reverse mortgage benefit to them? And I said, I said to this fella, get your 300 clients in mind, and whatever you thought you knew about reverse mortgages, put that out of your mind. And here's the question. If your home could be used to increase your cash flow in retirement, would you want to see how it works?"
Period.
What happened there?
What happened?
Think about that.
Yeah.
How many of those 300 folk who are retired, if you ask, and your listeners, if your home could be used to increase your cash flow in retirement, would you want to see how it works? How many of you just raised your hand, nodded up and down, said, "Yes, I would"? Absolutely. Why wouldn't you want to see how it works?
Yes.
Who in the world would bury their head and say, "No, I don't want to see how that works"? The Gates, the Bezos, the Steve Jobs, the Warren Buffett, those who have billions of dollars. The people who every month when you get your Social Security check, you say, "What is this? I'm going to send this back. I don't need that." Those are everybody else is going to want to say, "Yes."
Yes.
I'd like to see how it works.
I would like to see how it
So
works.
if your home could be used to reduce your retirement risks, preserve assets that you have, improve liquidity, the money you have available, or even add new dollars back to savings. We had a fella here outside of Philadelphia. had a modest home. He sold his home, got $80,000.
Okay.
He moved to a $200,000 neighborhood. Listen, folks, that puts you in a whole new neighborhood, doesn't it?
Yes, it
in
does.
Some places.
Mm-hmm.
If you can move from an $80,000 to a $200,000, or from a $200,000 neighborhood to $400,000, if you could do that, get a new home, have no monthly mortgage payment by using the new reverse mortgage to buy your next house, would you want to see how that works?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
See, some of your listeners are saying, I'm in this neighborhood, things are getting a little tough, I may get knocked upside the head, or maybe it's just not suitable for you. And you don't know how you can move to a house twice the value of what you have now. What if I told you could buy your next house with about a 50% down payment, which is you sold your house, you had $150,000 left over, but you were able to buy a $300,000 home and have no monthly mortgage payment. That's a different retirement.
Listen, when you shared that with me,
Mm-hmm.
that under this new program, that people could purchase a home from the proceeds of the sale of their other home and step up out of that situation, that was, to me, that's a power move for seniors.
Absolutely. But here's the question. Would you want to see how it works?
Yes.
So to the listeners, this is designed that you say, wait a minute, did you say that? Listen, if you could use your home to create a backup plan for market risk and volatility, would you want to see how it works?
Yes.
Absolutely. If you could use your home to replace the income used when you were paying insurance premiums, would you want to see how it works? Think about this. Given the events that have recently happened and the uncertainty of the future, would it make sense for you, listener, to turn your home into a reserve fund for emergencies or expenses? And if so, would you want to see how it works? What would retirement be like if you didn't have to make a monthly loan payment? I asked that question to a lady down in Porterville, Louisiana. And she said, oh my gosh. She says, Mr. Graves, my son lives in Indiana. We used to drive up there several times a year. We can't drive anymore. My grandbabies are there. But if I got rid of this $1,950 a month mortgage payment, I could fly a few times a year to see my grandbaby. And I asked her, so if we could eliminate your monthly loan payment so that you could fly and see your grandbabies more often, would you want to see how it works? My gosh, think about this. Think about this. Now, this is a faith program, isn't it, Michelle?
Yes.
I can talk about Jesus a little bit.
You better.
And without folks, someone once asked me, Don, you've done more reverse mortgages than anyone in the country this year. I was out getting some award. They said, what's your inspiration? And I told them, Michelle, I said, well, Jesus did the first reverse mortgage. Now, if you ever want to see a crowd go silent and the program go to commercial real fast, mention Jesus like that. And so I didn't get to explain it. Thank you so much, Don. They ushered me off.
I bet they did.
But someone says, wait a minute, Don, what do you mean Jesus did the first reverse mortgage? And I said, it's in your Bible. It's in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 7, verse 11. I like to call it Thank Heaven for 7-11. Luke 7:11. The story says a widow's only son has died, and the funeral procession is leaving this little town called Nain. And Jesus and his disciples pictured her coming the other direction, and the two meet. And there the crowd is crying and wailing, and the widow who's lost her only son. And Jesus does something that almost is offensive. He goes over to the lady and says to her, stop crying. Now, where we're from, you don't say that to the grieving widow. You just don't go up unless you can back it up a little something.
Mm-hmm.
He says to her, stop crying. And he reaches down and he says to the boy, get up. And he resurrects her son. And that's the end of the story. The people say, a great prophet has arisen. There's joy and rejoicing that went on. And I asked the question to your listeners, what type of resurrection was that? And when I've asked that question, people say, a good one? I said, I imagine if you were dead and you came back to life, that'd be good. I said, we only have 3 recorded resurrections. What type was this? Why is this one different? And folks says, well, I don't know, Don. I said, there's a clue. It says that a widow, clue number 1, has lost her only son to death, clue number 2. So I said, let's think about a widow in ancient Israel. Would they have been well off? the
it all.
scripture says that you're to take care of the widow and the orphan.
Right.
And there was special provision made for the widow. And I said, so she lost her income with her husband. But it says her only son has now died.
Jeez.
I said, so not only did she lose her income, but now she's lost her savings. Because the boy could work the farm, the boy could do this and that. And so when Jesus resurrects the boy, what did he really resurrect?
He resurrected her income.
He resurrected her income.
Yes, he did.
And I said, now, if he had not have done that, the Old Testament made provision that if everything else had failed, the widow could mortgage her land. That happened in the book of Nehemiah. And wasn't supposed to have excess interest, but she could do that. But that was really down the road. And I said, now, when Jesus does this, he really, what I call it, it's just a turn of phrase, he reversed her need to get a mortgage and to mortgage her land. And this tells us something. Jesus is concerned with more than just salvation.
Amen.
And we can holler and shout, and I love that. And we can shandalan shakabak. If you're from that tradition, praise God.
Amen.
Go for it. But when you're sitting in church next to somebody, or you're sitting in the restaurant, and they're widows financially, and their only son has died financially, you got to know, preacher and pastor, evangelist and apostle, that Jesus cares for the economics of that widow right there.
Yes, he does.
And what resources do you have at your disposal that can help them resurrect that without impacting their cash flow? The only resource in America right now that can help retirees eliminate their monthly mortgage payment or create new money for them without the burden of making a monthly mortgage payment, right? That's no good. If I have to borrow money and then turn around and make a payment, then I can't manage in a longer retirement.
Right.
The only program in America that can help begin to address that question is the reverse mortgage or the home equity conversion mortgage. Listen, folks, if you have to have a mortgage in retirement and you had a choice, would you rather have it be mandatory or voluntary? Voluntary, absolutely.
Absolutely.
What if you, here's more sophisticated, I'll land the plane here. If you could use your home to, 7 magic words, defer Social Security, that you can defer it and then take it out later in life, that you can get a bigger payout. Cover gaps in health or long-term care. Limit your savings so your growth is optimized. Keep your annuities working longer before you annuitize them, that they pay out more money. Replace your income in case of loss or emergency. Prepare for the next pandemic. Generate tax-free dollars that keep you in a lower tax bracket, or even pay the taxes on the Roth conversion. Because right now, some of your listeners say, Don, I've got money. I've got money in my 401k. And you know the old saying, when is $1 million not $1 million? When it's in a 401k. And why is that? Why is that, Mr. Graves? I'll tell you why it is. If you've got money in a 401k or an IRA, you've got a partner. You know that.
Yeah, the federal government.
I said, your partner's Uncle Sam. Now, the thing about your partner is you don't know how much he wants.
No, you
down
don't.
the road. When you start, how much do you want? 14%, 25%? And your partner says, I'll tell you when we get there.
Yes. Yes.
So what you think you have, and because we've just injected $3 trillion into the economy, another $3 trillion coming,
Yeah.
we're at the lowest tax rate in history right now.
Yeah.
And
Right
most people don't know that. No, and we get mad at some folks in the White House. But I tell you, for tax purposes, and taxes are on sale until 2026.
Yes.
And a lot of folks, you were alive when taxes, the highest marginal tax bracket was 70%. People were alive during that time
Yes.
period. And I said, that was in the 70s.
Yes, it was.
And so, anyway, listen, the reverse mortgage is a wonderful resource. Don, are you saying this is for everybody? No. No. But what I'm saying is, if someone came to you and said, hey, your banker came and said someone left the contents of their safe deposit box to you in their will, you said, I didn't know them. They said, well, we don't know. Here's the key. It's up to you. Would you go and see what was in that box? You would.
I would hope so.
You're sitting on those who are listening to me. You or someone you know, your grandmother, grandparents. Here's the question. Are you experiencing the type of retirement that you envisioned, or do you have some concerns? Let me say it another way. To those who are yet to retire, are you 100% certain that you're going to have a great retirement, or do you have some doubts? Why would you not use 100% of your available assets when developing a plan? Even if you didn't use it, you would at least want to know. Now, I've just kind of beat that. I'm going to stop the show. Man, I'm just talking too much.
No. But listen, I'm going to put out the clarion one more time. For those of you who are interested in the reverse mortgage, you're a homeowner, or you know someone that is, then it is absolutely imperative that you call us, 579-1050, area code 513, so that he can send you this book, and so you can begin to be familiar. If those of you that have financial advisors who have not discussed this, you need to tell them they need to reach out to Don too, so that they can get on board with the thousands and thousands of other advisors throughout the United States that are using this product as a part of their client's portfolio. This is not a new product. It works because people need it to work. So again, you got 10 minutes, because I'm getting ready to sign off with Don. 579-1050, area code 513. If you want the book and you are a homeowner, know somebody that is a homeowner that could benefit, want to be able to have a retirement that looks good for you. Again, this is a phenomenal product. I'm not kidding you, and I'm not exaggerating. I don't get any money from telling you about this. I am telling you that so many people, because they don't know, are hurting themselves. No, the bank is not going to tell you about this product. Why would they? Why would they? And why should they? Their job is to make sure you pay them on time, not to make sure that you have other alternatives. So, Don, time is up. I thank you so much for being a part of my world today.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
And please, as a sidebar, tell Micah I am so proud of his jazz album, soon to be released.
Yep.
That is awesome.
It's going to be great.
I know. Thank you so much. I appreciate everything, and I will again continue to be a proponent of this product. I wish you and your family only the very best of God's blessings to you, and certainly look forward to seeing you the next time you're in my neck of the woods.
Absolutely. Hey, if you're housingwealth.net, www.housingwealth.net. Some of the listeners may get a business signal and say, hey, Don, I want to find out information. Just go to housingwealth.net.
Yes, or they can Google you, Don Graves.
Don Graves, you'll find me. Don Graves, Reverse Mortgage.
Yeah, they're going to see you. You're all over the place.
Reach out to me.
Okay.
Let me show you how it works.
Okay.
Ms. Graves, I'm out. Love you, big sis.
Love you too. You take care. God bless you so much.
Bye-bye.
Now, wasn't that phenomenal? Now, as he said, this product is not for everyone. If you've got major issues with upgrading and fixing your house, deferred maintenance major, that could be a challenge. You want to get the information before taking a negative posture. One of the things that I have concerns about in Cincinnati, Ohio, which is where I have spent a large part of my life, is the negativity. We have got to turn that conversation around. You cannot walk in the dimension of the kingdom and always say, that's not for me, or that won't work, or who does she think she is, or blah, blah, blah. All that stuff is from the devil, because he's the king of negativity. He will blow your stuff up and you in it. Trust me when I tell you this. So take advantage of what is available. 579-1050. Again, we've got a few more minutes, and then I will be gone for this show. You can watch it replay Saturday mornings from 8 to 9 in the morning. You can listen to it Sunday nights from 10 to 11 at night to see this show replay. You can go on YouTube We are now uploading I Believe to YouTube. And of course, you always can go on to my Facebook site and catch up on that episode. The thing is I have done everything within my power to make information that can help you and change your life. I'm telling you, change your life. And if you want it, go get it. Go get it. I'm one of those people that's positive and that believes, and you all already know this, that's my reputation. I don't want to hear a negative, because I know the minute you embrace the negativity, you worship the God of the dark side. That's right, because God is only about positivity. He's only about love, expansiveness, growth. Come on, think it and do it. Say it and believe it. That's why the show is called I Believe, because I do believe. I'm not talking about what your pastor, apostles, I'm talking about a relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ, and where He is your God of gods and can make a way out of no way. Oh my gosh, doesn't matter. But I'm going to continue bringing you the best so that you can order your lives. And for the record, for those of you that have faithfully listened, you don't have all the answers. Trust me, you don't. That's why I'm here. You can call, you can text, you can follow up, and if we need to sit down and look at your situation, we can do that. I did not say it was free. The show is free. I have underwriters that pay for this show. I mean, Anthem, Humana, Aetna, they pay for this show so that I can educate you and empower you and your families to live out your lives with joy and with hope and with expectation that the good that comes from God Himself is yours as one of His children. It doesn't get any better than that. I can't tell you any more than that. I can just simply say to you that Michelle Graves has been the money lady for over 35 years. And as the scriptures say, I was once young. I didn't know anything. I was naive. I was real smart. But I did not know about life and how life does. So now I'm considerably older, and I would hope wiser. So my wisdom, my networks, my contacts, you are the benefactors, if you say so. If you allow this conversation to go by again, which is, oh, you don't understand. I don't have to understand. I'm just a vessel. I'm a tool. This is what the Holy Ghost directed me to do in November of last year. And He was faithful to put all pieces in place so that it happened. Now it's up to you to seize what God has for you. And it does not matter how you've messed up, because life is about a series of mess-ups. Get it right, keep it moving, and then leaving a legacy for your children and your grandchildren that says, my, look at God. So, I say on today's show, as I say on every show, stretch for greatness. Step into the arena of truth. And know above all things that God loves you intensely, cares about you probably more than you care about yourself. And just do it. Lay a foundation. If I can help you, you know how to reach me. You really do. I'm not inaccessible, but I am extremely committed to people that are committed to their life changes. Don't call me talking about no silly stuff. I don't have that kind of time. I'm interested in people that have made a conscious, deliberate decision to change their lives. And just know that God will heal your land. He will restore you He will shower you with abundance and love, but it has to begin with you acknowledging that you have been out of order, that you want to get it right. And he can do it for you. He can help you. He can guide you. The Holy Ghost is here to guide us and to comfort us and to keep us. And he has kept me. Oh my goodness, if you only knew the half. But he has kept me. So on today's segment of I Believe radio broadcast, I'm your host, Michelle Graves, affectionately known as the Money Lady for over 3 decades and counting. And my prayer is that you get it right. Let him heal you. I'll see you next week. We have another awesome guest. Mr. Preston is going to be my guest, talking about the funeral industry. Yes. And I happen to like this guy. Okay? I know them all. Don't get mad. No preference. But I like this young man. I do. So stay tuned for next week. Tell your friends about the show. It's important that you listen and learn and grow and be all that God himself has preordained you to be as his son. Amen. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Kings are on the uprise in the land. My prayer is, Lord, for you to hear the land, hear the land, hear the land. My prayer is for you to hear the land. Hear the land. Please hear the land. For you to hear the land. So many crises in the land. There's no peace in the land. There is no love, no love, no love in the land, yeah. My prayer is that you hear the land, hear the land, yeah. Hear the land. My prayer is that you hear the land. I want the world to know. Hear the land. My prayer is that you hear the land. So many crises in the land. Hear the land. My prayer is that you hear the land. I want the world to know. Hear the land. My prayer is that you hear the land. Yeah, yeah. Hear the land. Hear the land. Hear the land.
Thanks for listening. This is I Believe with Dr. Michelle Graves. To get in touch with the Money Lady, call 1-800-734-3915. That's 1-800-734-3915. You're listening to Cincinnati's 24-hour urban gospel connection, Inspiration 1050 AM and 103.1 FM WGRI.
Thousands and millions of our brothers and sisters could not register to vote. When I stood here 50 years ago, I said